Louie Gohmert is going to salivate talking about Benjamin Netanyahu on right-wing radio here, but pay close attention to his point at the end, because that's the really important part. It's about a minute in. Let's listen.
Last Tuesday morning, I stood up in conference. I wanted him and others to know how grateful I was to Speaker Boehner for inviting Prime Minister Netanyahu to come speak. And as I said to him in front of other members, I think it is important for our nation. I think it is important for the world that he did this. And I think it also is important for eternity. This was a big thing. Because, Tony, I've been over there. I've talked to Israeli leaders, and I know from other Israeli leaders, not Netanyahu hadn't said it, but from other leaders, that our president has great disdain for Netanyahu. And he would have that same disdain for anyone who was a strong leader for the nation of Israel. And as our friend Joel Rosenberg points out from what he says is his favorite book of the Bible, Joel, there is judgment that will come for nations that attempt to or divide the nation of Israel. And this White House seems determined to do that as well.
There is judgment that will come for nations that try to divide Israel, a.k.a. do a two-state solution and get peace. So Louie Gomer is against a peace deal because God. See, this is a major problem here. I always find it hilarious and depressing that people always try to hammer away and focus on religious extremism in Palestine via Hamas. And they harp away on that, and they call Israel a democracy, and they say, our side's not like that, it's just their side that's like that. Listen to the religious right wing in America. Listen to Louie Gohmert. Listen to ultra-Orthodox Jews who are on occupied territory. They tell you, no, we have a right to this land. We have a divine right, a holy right from God. Louie Gohmert is saying, according to the Bible, anybody who splits up Israel, those people are evil and they're inviting God's wrath. So again, because of his metaphysical, supernatural bullshit beliefs based on absolutely nothing, he's going to actively try to fight a true peace deal on this earth. I can't tell you how upset this makes me. I mean, I was listening to the other day Reza Aslan talk about this. Now, Reza and I agree on many things and we disagree on many things, but he was talking about how, in his opinion, the two-state solution in Israel-Palestine is just dead. And it's dead because of the intransigence and the rigidity of the belief systems of people in the U.S. government and of Netanyahu's right-wing Likud party. How every once in a while they'll give some statements talking about peace and talking about a possible two-state solution, but their actions speak much louder than their words. I mean, look, forget Netanyahu's offensive where he killed 80% civilians in Gaza and including over 500 children. For even putting that aside, look at the fact that he just recently annexed a tremendous amount of land and he said we're going to build more settlements here. So you're pretending like you want a two-state solution and a peace deal while you're further going into the Palestinian territories and you're stealing the land. So there are religious extremists on both sides. But the difference is one of the sides and their religious extremists, they have the bigger guns and they have the power and they have the United States and the military-industrial complex backing them. So they're more than willing to point out, oh, Hamas, crazy radical Islamic fundamentalists, they're terrible, they're terrible, they're terrible. But Louie Gomer forgets to mention that he is America's version of Hamas, because he's saying, because of my God, the God of the Bible, I am going to oppose a two-state solution, and I'm going to say the Palestinians should have no territory whatsoever. They shouldn't have a state. We shouldn't do a peace deal. Because we can't break up Israel. Israel needs to get away with whatever the fuck it wants because of God and the Bible. You're no different than the extremists on the other side, except you may be worse because you have more power so you can do something about it, and you are doing something about it. You're taking more and more land. It bothers me to no end that the extremists on the side of the U.S. and on the side of Israel totally disregard the fact that they are extremists. You're just another side of the same coin. You're basically saying right to return for Israel to take all of the Palestinians' territory, as opposed to what Hamas says, which is right to return for all Palestinians, and there should be absolutely no Israel, right? The answer is with the rational, secular people who have stepped in and said, look, man, if you want to have any peace at all, you have to do a two-state solution. They both have to have recognition from the UN. We can't keep continuing with this madness. And I would argue that Netanyahu and the Likud party and all the right-wingers in America who say Israel could do no wrong ever and they continue to expand, you are putting the people of Israel in more damage, at more risk. Do you not realize that? You're making them a bigger target. You're making it so that the people who call for violence on the other side, they can recruit more and they can carry out more violence because you're so unwilling to sit down at the table and negotiate a deal. We went over how there was a proposal through Jordan by the Palestinians at the UN which said, look, man, here's our idea. Let's sit down and let's negotiate out all the details, but the basic idea we're in favor of is 1967 borders, and we both get UN recognition, and that's it. And Israel rejected it out of hand. They said, no, we're rejecting that out of hand. Not even having a conversation because it's anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli that you even propose that. Well, then what the fuck do you want them to do? If you're in favor of a two-state solution, but you say no to the 1967 borders, and obviously you say no to the 1947 borders, then there's nowhere to go. What do you want to do? There's nowhere to go. You're giving them no land and not allowing them to have a state, and then you say, goddamn, look at how rigid they are and how much they don't want to compromise. They just compromise and you said fuck off. And the final thing I'll say about this, man, is to Louie Gohmert's first point, how Obama's anti-Israel. That's comically stupid. Because in Gohmert's mind, what he means is that since Obama doesn't want to wipe out the Palestinians and give all the land to Israel, that means he's anti-Israel. No, he's not anti-Israel. He gave them Iron Dome. He helped fund Iron Dome, which stops all these Hamas rockets from going into civilian territory. And also, the former defense minister in Israel said Obama's been the closest friend to Israel of any American president ever. I said it once, I'll say it again, man. You're listening to somebody on this show who is both pro-Israel and pro-Palestine. I want both states to be recognized at the UN. Only one of them is right now. And I want a two-state solution where it's a 50-50 two-state solution. Okay, that's what I call for. So any moron duncehead who would come out and argue that, as people have argued before, that, I'm anti-Israel, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I want lasting peace in the region. I don't believe in a right to return because, for example, like in the U.S., I don't believe we can give all the land back to the Cherokees and the Algonquins, right? It's just not going to happen. It's not practical at this point in time. But what I do believe in is justice and freedom and peace for both sides. And unfortunately, that's not happening. Not because of the extremists on the Palestinian side. It's not happening because of the extremists on the Israeli side and the American side who are preventing it from happening.